What if I told you that the version of you that is struggling, the one that feels scattered, overwhelmed, reactive, stuck, is not failing because of lack of talent, not failing because of bad circumstances, but failing because of what happens in the first 7 minutes after you open your eyes every single morning? What if the greatest theft happening in your life right now is not happening in the world outside, but inside your own unguarded mind, in that silent window before 8 a.m., when your thoughts are the most vulnerable, the most impressionable, the most powerful they will ever be all day, and you are handing that window, that sacred unrepeatable window, to a phone screen, to fear, to noise, to habit? Only 1% of people on this entire planet take conscious control of their thoughts before 8 a.m. 1%. And what separates that 1% from everyone else is not intelligence, not resources, not privilege. It is one decision made in the dark, in the quiet, before the world wakes. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you will never see your morning the same way again. What if the most important battle of your entire life is not fought in a boardroom, not fought on a stage, not fought in a competition against other people, but fought in the silent darkness of your own bedroom, in those first fragile moments when your eyes open and your mind begins to stir, before the world has even had the chance to speak your name? What if everything you have been chasing, the success, the peace, the clarity, the confidence, the life you keep dreaming about, what if all of it was already available to you, but was being stolen from you every single morning before 8 a.m., not by your enemies, not by your circumstances, not by the economy or your past or your failures, but by your own unguarded, undisciplined, wandering mind? Think about that for a moment. Really sit with it.
Every morning, billions of people wake up, and within seconds, sometimes within milliseconds, the mind begins its familiar performance. The worries return, the comparisons begin, the scroll of the phone starts, the noise rushes in, the notifications demand attention, the anxiety about the day ahead takes the steering wheel before you even had the chance to place your hands upon it. And just like that, before you have even stood on your feet, before you have taken a conscious breath, before you have looked yourself in the mirror and decided who you are going to be today, the day has already decided for you. That is not living. That is being lived.
And the shocking truth, the truth that very few people are willing to hear and even fewer are willing to act upon, is this: only 1% of all the people walking this earth right now actually take conscious control of their thoughts before 8 a.m. Only 1%. And that 1% is not smarter than you. They were not born with special gifts you were denied. They did not receive a secret that was hidden from the rest of humanity. They simply made a decision, a quiet, fierce, uncompromising decision, that their mind was too powerful, too sacred, too important to be handed over to habit and chaos the moment they opened their eyes. Now ask yourself honestly, which side of that number are you on? You see, what most people do not understand is that the human mind in those first waking hours is not fully defended. It is like a city whose gates have not yet been closed. The subconscious, which has been working through the night, is still very close to the surface. The analytical, critical, filtering mind is still warming up. And in that space, that precious, golden, unrepeatable space, whatever enters becomes the foundation of your entire day. If the first thing that enters is fear, you will move through your day with a subtle current of fear running beneath everything you do. If the first thing that enters is distraction, your mind will seek distraction at every turn. If the first thing that enters is comparison, resentment, or the noise of other people's lives through a screen in your hand, you will spend the next 16 hours measuring yourself against a world that was never designed for your flourishing. But here is what changes everything. If in those first moments, before the world speaks, before the notifications sing, before the demands of others arrive at your door, if in those moments you become the one who speaks first, if you take the throne of your own mind before anyone else can sit upon it, something extraordinary begins to happen. Your thoughts stop happening to you. You start happening to your thoughts. This is not a concept, this is not philosophy for the sake of beautiful words. This is the oldest, most tested, most proven principle of inner mastery that humanity has ever known. Every great tradition, every school of wisdom, every culture that understood the nature of the human mind has pointed to the same truth. Morning is where the battle begins, and most people lose it before they even realize a battle was taking place. So what does it actually mean to control your thoughts before 8 a.m.? It does not mean you force yourself to think positively. Forced positivity is another form of mental weakness disguised as strength. It does not mean you perform a rigid morning routine that you found in a list online and follow mechanically without understanding its purpose. Mechanical action without consciousness is just a different kind of sleep. To control your thoughts before 8 a.m. means to wake with awareness. It means that the first act of your morning is not reaching outward, but moving inward. It means sitting for even 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, in the stillness of your own presence, breathing deliberately, observing what arises in the mind without being swept away by it, and then consciously deciding the quality of your inner state before you step into the world. It means understanding that your mind is like a blade. And like any blade, if you do not sharpen it intentionally, it becomes dull. If you do not direct it consciously, it will cut in every direction except the right one. The morning is when you pick up that blade and you decide with full awareness what it is for. Now I want you to understand something about willpower, because there is a great misunderstanding about this word that keeps most people trapped. Willpower is not something you spend throughout the day like coins from a limited purse. Willpower is not strongest at the moment of temptation. Willpower is strongest before temptation arrives. The person who decides in the clear-minded stillness of early morning what their values are, what their direction is, what kind of person they are committed to being, that person does not need to fight against themselves later in the day, because the fight was already won in the quiet hours before 8 a.m. This is why the most powerful people in any field of human endeavor, whether it is the arts, the sciences, the spiritual life, the athletic arena, share one consistent pattern. They guard their mornings. They treat the first hours of their day not as a warm-up, not as that time before the real work begins, but as the most important, most sacred, most fiercely protected hours of their existence. They are not waking up early to be productive in the way the world defines productivity. They are waking up early to be present, to be deliberate, to be the author of their own inner story before the world tries to write it for them. And here is the most important thing I can tell you about this practice, because understanding this changes everything about how you approach your mornings. Controlling your thoughts is not about suppressing what arises. It is not about pushing down the fear, the doubt, the dark thoughts, the grief, the anxiety. Suppression is not mastery. Suppression is just pressure building beneath the surface, waiting to explode at the worst possible moment. True thought control, the kind that separates the 1% from everyone else, is about observation. It is about developing the capacity to watch your own mind the way a master watches a student, with patience, with clarity, with neither judgment nor blind acceptance. You see the thought arise. You acknowledge it. You do not become it. You choose from a place of calm awareness whether to give it energy or to let it pass like a cloud that has no permission to stay. That is the skill. That is what is being built in those early morning hours when the world is quiet and your mind is still malleable. And I want to be very clear with you about something. This is hard. It is genuinely, honestly, uncomfortably hard. The reason only 1% practice it is not because the information is hidden. The information is everywhere. The reason is that it requires you to face yourself. It requires you to sit in silence with your own mind and confront what is actually there, not the performance you present to the world, not the identity you have constructed for other people's comfort, but the raw, unfiltered, sometimes frightening truth of your inner world. Most people would rather reach for the phone because the phone is loud and noise is very effective at drowning out the sound of the self. But you are not most people. You would not be here listening to these words if something in you was not already reaching for something more, if something in you was not already tired of being at the mercy of your own uncontrolled thoughts, if something in you was not already sensing that the life you want is being built or destroyed every morning before 8 a.m. So let me give you the practical truth of what this looks like. Tomorrow morning, before you touch your phone, before you check any message, before you let any external voice have access to your mind, take 3 deep conscious breaths. Just 3. Feel the breath enter your body. Feel it leave. In that simple act, you are doing something that 99% of the world will not do tomorrow morning. You are saying with your body and with your attention that you are present, that you are awake, that you are choosing. Then, in the quiet that follows, ask yourself one question. Not what do I have to do today? That question belongs to the world, and the world will ask it soon enough. Ask yourself instead, who am I today? What kind of person am I bringing into this day? What is the quality of consciousness I am choosing to carry? What do I stand for in this moment before anything else has been demanded of me? Let the answer come from somewhere deeper than thought. Let it come from that part of you that knows, that has always known who you truly are beneath all the noise, beneath all the performance, beneath all the fear and the comparison and the distraction. That is where your power lives. And every morning that you return to that place before 8 a.m., you are doing something extraordinary. You are training the mind. You are building the muscle of awareness. You are slowly, steadily, day by day, becoming the 1%, not because you are better than anyone else, but because you have made a commitment that most are not willing to make, the commitment to know yourself, to govern yourself, to show up as yourself, before the world has had the chance to decide who you should be. The mind that is controlled in the morning is free in the afternoon. The mind that is free in the afternoon creates in the evening. And the person who creates consistently, consciously, from a place of inner clarity and discipline, eventually creates a life that others look at and call fortunate, call gifted, call lucky. But you will know that it was never luck. It was 5 a.m., it was silence, it was 3 breaths. It was the daily, unglamorous, unwitnessed practice of choosing your own mind before the world could choose it for you. That is the secret of the 1%, and now it belongs to you. Everything spoken here today returns to one single truth that is older than any philosophy, any tradition, any school of thought. You are the master of your mind, or you are its servant. There is no middle ground. There is no comfortable position between those two realities. And the place where that mastery is either built or abandoned is not in the grand moments of your life. It is in the quiet, dark, ordinary morning. It is in the moment before 8 a.m. when no one is watching, when no one will applaud you, when the only witness to your discipline is the silence itself. The 1% are not extraordinary because of what they achieve. They are extraordinary because of what they choose every single morning, when they have every reason and every cultural permission to simply reach for the phone and drift. They choose awareness over autopilot. They choose presence over distraction. They choose to be the author of their own inner world rather than a character in someone else's noise. You now know what they know. The question that remains, the only question that has ever truly mattered, is what you will do with tomorrow morning.